I think one thing that we can definitely say that combines all of humankind, one experience that I think every one of us can truly get behind and we can identify with, is what it feels like to have a bad day. I mean, hell, they wrote a whole song about it. So you have a bad day. I think we've all had that feeling of a day or a week or a month or in some cases a year. Yes, I'm quoting Friends. Where we feel like the world is just out to get us. And that no matter what we do, no matter how good intentioned, it feels like everything we do either blows up in our face, or for every step we take forward, we take 2 steps back. I believe that we can all relate to that feeling. And especially now, if you can't relate to that in 2020, then I don't know what to do with it. And if you are one of those people who says, oh, I've never had a bad day, well, then is it lonely up there on your pedestal? But for the most of us, we have had those times when it just feels like everything we do is literally cursed. And sometimes when you're in the midst of that, that's when you want to see a group of nice people, honestly go through hell for your amusement. Not so much so that we can laugh at them and laugh at their pain, but so that we can be reassured that we're going to come out the other side. I mean, that was the entire, driving force behind things like the National Lampoon Vacation movies. It wasn't just, it's funny to see Chevy Chase have bad things happen to him. It was, these bad things are going to happen to him, but at the end of the picture, it's going to work out. Maybe not in the way that you expect, but it's going to work out. And I can tell you that before 2020, back in the before times of 2014, I was having a pretty rough time of it. It was not the best year for me. I was down more often than I was up. And, when you're having that kind of long of a stretch of kind of bad luck and, things, you start to wonder, is there going to be light at the end of the tunnel? And sometimes you need to see a feel-good film that makes you feel bad and then makes you feel good. And that's a long way around of introducing us to today's film, one that I went and saw, and it really did perk me up, and that was 2014's Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, based on the popular children's book, which is famously about yay big. So, let's talk about this little film, because it came out, and like so many of our forgotten gems, especially, it feels like there's a lot of forgotten gems from recent years, because it feels like we live in a much more disposable society where things come out, you talk about them, and then they're automatically gone. And this film is kind of one of those. And I feel bad about that, because every time I rewatch this film, I really get a kick out of it. So let's talk about it. So Alexander is your typical white suburban kid with a fairly large family. I guess he would be the middle child. He's got an older brother, an older sister, and a baby brother. So I assume that I guess, even though the numbers are off, that makes him the middle child, who constantly feels like every day of his life is a terrible day, especially in comparison to all of his family members, who it constantly seems are having great days and great lives. And on the eve of his birthday, kind of fed up with how much he feels ignored or alone, or wishes that the family could have a day just as bad as his once, to kind of, so they can empathize with him a little bit. And lo and behold, the next day becomes a disaster. An increasing disaster that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. His eldest brother totally messes up with his stereotypical mean girlfriend. His sister, who is the star actor, gets a cold from rehearsing out in the car all night for some reason, and then gets doped up on cold medicine for the big production. His mother, played by Jennifer Garner, who is a book publisher, accidentally approves a misprint in a line of children's books to hilarious results. And his father, played by Steve Carell, who's been furloughed from his job, is trying to interview for a new one, and hilarious consequences keep ensuing, of course, with everything just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the story goes on. What I like about this movie, first of all, we see this a lot, especially with things like Dr. Seuss. They're constantly trying to adapt Dr. Seuss books to feature-length films, and they always come out feeling very flabby and, like the story's been stretched, because it has. So expanding this viewpoint of Alexander's from just his point of view to the entire family, and actually taking the focus off of him, because really, when you look at The Very Bad Day, not much happens to him. This is kind of the day where he is the one having a decent day and everybody else's day sucks. So taking that off of him and expanding it out to his family, I think, was a smart idea. I also like how the various disasters, they build them appropriately. They start small and then build out and out and out and out and out and out. I gotta say, I think the real comic star of this one is the eldest brother, Dylan Minniti, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, who a lot of shit happens to him specifically, and like every reaction that he has is just fantastic. There's a scene where he does like a lot of teenagers do. He runs and he jumps to tap this banner that's up, because I see a lot of kids doing that. Even now they run and try to jump and tap the wall or tap a banner, and he taps it and pulls on it accidentally, and it smashes two trophy cases. And just seeing his reaction as this minor action causes this huge reaction is phenomenal. He does this the same when he goes for his driving test and ends up, getting yelled at so much that it freaks him out. So he's driving on the sidewalk, slamming into, parking meters and everything. It's just great reactions from him. I think he has kind of the biggest calamities happen to him, and I think his reactions are fantastic. All the young actors in this, and I imagine they're not that young anymore, but all of the young actors in this do a great job. And Dudley's down again, jeez. Anyway, do a fairly good job. They're playing archetypes, but they're not trapped within those archetypes. Alexander, played by Ed, complicated to say last name, so I'm not even going to attempt it, I think he walks the fine line between put upon and annoying. It'd be very easy to send this character into the annoying, whiny territory. And I don't think they ever cross that line with him. You can see why he is so frustrated. What's interesting about this, I was thinking about this, is that it's interesting how this film shares POVs. Normally the audience has one POV character, and we all, like in this film, you would assume for the most part it is Alexander. He is the one that we're following, and it's his reactions to everything we're kind of seeing it through. But when you do that, you normally, with a character like this in a film like this, you normally come out with a Pretty in Pink thing where everybody just treats him so terribly, and he is just, everybody just ignores him and bullies him, and, he's just the black sheep of the family and no one cares. And we do see that from his point of view, how he does feel like that and how he does feel kind of the outcast. But at the same time, we see it from his parents' point of view, and see that they're not doing this intentionally. It is not a thing that they are outwardly saying, oh, we don't care about him, like they do in a lot of these other movies. It's just a thing that circumstances are always kind of tugging them in a different direction. Something else is always coming up, and everything gets cut short. And I think our young Alexander, as kind of the focal point of the film, does it very well. I think we really get that middle child point of view, as far as I understand it. But I can relate. My relationship with my siblings is incredibly complex, but that's just the price you pay for being an only child. Let's talk about the two big stars of this film, the two names above the title, Jennifer Garner and Steve Carell, as Alexander's parents. Both do a fantastic job. I like Jennifer Garner as an actor. I really do. But she has very unique energy. I don't know how else to classify it. And in the wrong role, sometimes it'll feel like her energy doesn't fit. She clearly is a loving parent. But in a film like this, she comes off a little whinier and a little sappier than I think she's capable. I don't know. She's the piece of the family that feels like it just doesn't fit. It's not that she's bad in the role. She's very funny. She has great comic timing. She does some great stuff with the kids. But it's just, I don't know. She feels just a little out of place. And I don't think that's her as an actor. I think she has just a unique presence, which doesn't really fit this dynamic. Meanwhile, you have Steve Carell, and I don't think I've praised Steve Carell enough, and I think I need to right now. Steve Carell is one of my favorite actors currently. Not only is he a good actor and plays every role that he gets with amazing dedication, be it dramatic, comic, whatever, but man, his comic work is second to none. And one thing I was thinking as I was watching this film last night is that if, for some ungodly reason, they decided they were going to make a live-action Bob's Burgers movie, which don't do that, because that's stupid. But if for some reason they felt like this was a thing that needed to exist, I think Steve Carell should play Bob. Yes, he does not have the deep voice, but one thing he's got is that deadpan, stone-faced reaction when crazy shit is going on around him. He really does fit that character. Oh, cop. Not for me. Let's see what they got. Oh, they're going where I'm going. That's always fun. Anywho. But he's got that stone-faced, lightning rod character who is trying to maintain sanity amongst crazy people that very much makes me feel like Bob Belcher. He has that, and that's one of the funniest things about him is just how all this crazy shit goes on in this film, and Steve Carell, his reactions to it are just kind of just watching it happen, and that is an incredibly honest reaction. I know I've had bad days where you try that one last thing, that one last little bit, and when it just falls apart, and usually falls apart fairly spectacularly, you usually just stand there and kind of, all right. There's this outstanding reaction when his son takes his driver's test, and of course it goes horrifically bad, and they arrive back at the the testing facility, and his son opens the car door. Somebody comes, slams into it. The car door skids across the ground, and all the family are like jumping, and he's just standing there staring at it. Just like, yeah, because of course that's going to happen today. There is just, I don't know, his comedy is just something unique to behold. It's a very underrated form of comedy. And more than that, he's a great character for just his character in this one is just, he's always the positive one. He's been laid off. You got to remember, this came out again 2014. We were still feeling the effects of the recession. A lot of people had been laid off from work and whatnot, so it was not an uncommon thing, much like it isn't now. So to have a character who is constantly trying to be positive while the world is just continuously kicking him in the balls, it's a thin line to walk, and I think he does it very, very well. So is this movie perfect? No. It's very much a modern day family comedy, which means it'll diverge sometimes into cheap humor, which I know I get yucked at a lot for kind of turning my nose up at it. I don't like piss jokes. I don't like seeing people vomit. Just not a thing I find funny. So moments like that really take me out of the film, but they're few and far between. And I think I understand that when you're doing a modern day family comedy, you're kind of trying to hit a broad spectrum. And I think the film tries to do as many different kinds of jokes as they can. Slapstick, Steve Carell and the other one, Jennifer Garner. I'm sorry, I had to look down at the box. I'm sorry, her name just went out of my head. I think they have a lot of great one-liners. Like when his daughter gets in the car and she needs drugs for her cold. I need drugs. He's like, "What are you, a cyclist?" It's something that only the parents would get, but it was very well done. But really, that's the only thing I can really pick at this film for. It's a little adolescent in its humor and in its pacing, but it's a movie meant for adolescents. I mean, what do you want? All in all, I really think that this film does what a film like this should do, and show you what a truly bad day looks like. Even though these days I don't think any of us need the reminder, but show you that you can get through it. Yeah, you're gonna have bad days. Yeah, bad things are gonna happen, but sometimes you just gotta push through it. And as cheesy as it sounds, some days you got to have the bad days so you can appreciate the good ones. I like this film, and I think maybe these days we could use that reminder. So if you're looking for something, you got that Disney Plus, I'm sure it's on there. Go check it out again. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Alrighty, so that is it for this Forgotten Gems. I'm very sorry that the cops arresting somebody at the gas station kind of threw me off a little bit, but that's live theater, baby. But anyway, so thank you for watching. I hope that you are having not a horrible day. And yeah, as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.